Our first event was the hose cart. Here, a six-man team pulls an old-fashioned hose cart about 50 yards, laying the hose as they go.
Picture network television in the fall of 1991. The Cosby Show was about to wrap its 8-year reign. Cheers had 2 seasons left. Roseanne and Murphy Brown were peaking. The Big Four networks were swinging at the plate, looking for their next big hit. Their strategy? Grab any legendary star they could and pitch them a show. James Garner, James Earl Jones, Robert Guillaume, Twiggy, Red Fox, even Terry Garr. All of them got headlining roles in the 1991 to 1992 TV season. Almost none of those shows made it to Season 2. Today we're counting down 10 forgotten 1991 to 1992 TV disasters. Before another A-list star vanishes into syndication purgatory, hit that like button and subscribe to keep these retro TV deep dives coming. And stick around for number 1. It's the most tragic Hollywood story of the entire 1991 to 1992 season. Number 10. The Adventures of Mark and Brian on NBC.
Greetings all, Mark and Brian here with the official Mark and Brian dog, Pluto.
Mark Thompson and Brian Phelps were the #1 morning radio duo in Los Angeles. Their show on Claws FM launched in 1987 and defined the LA commute for 4 years. Their bit was wild stunts. Robert Goulet serenading Los Angeles on Valentine's Day from a helicopter with a giant loudspeaker. An 8x16-foot Elvis Presley head towed across the country to Memphis. NBC's programming executives heard these bits on their morning drives and asked the question that always ends in disaster. What if this, but on television? The Adventures of Mark and Brian premiered on NBC on September 9, 1991, Sundays at 7 p.m. The format was simple. Each week, Mark and Brian dreamed up a new fantasy they wanted to fulfill. A film crew followed them as they did it. They broadcast a Los Angeles Rams game. They trained as firefighters. They went through army training at Fort Knox. They dove with sharks under the supervision of Sea Hunt's Lloyd Burgess. They performed on stage with the Temptations during an actual concert. They went weightless on NASA's KC-137 zero-gravity simulator. It was essentially Jackass before Jackass. 13 episodes aired. NBC pulled the plug May 31, 1992. The two went back to Claws, where they continued their morning show for another 20 years before retiring in August 2012. Number 9. Flesh and Blood on NBC.
The drummer lost an arm. Then that cocktail waitress shot our bass player.
NBC in 1991 had a hot streak going. Cheers, The Cosby Show, The Wonder Years. The network was throwing sitcoms at the wall and watching most of them stick. Flesh and Blood did not stick. Flesh and Blood premiered on NBC on September 19, 1991. The premise: Lisa Darr plays Baltimore Assistant District Attorney Rachel Brennan, a driven, attractive, politically ambitious adoptee who decides to find her birth family. She traces them down. She does not love what she finds. Her newly discovered half-brother Arlo Weed, played by David Keith from An Officer and A Gentleman, is a southern redneck con artist with 2 kids in tow. Arlo and the children move into Rachel's upscale Baltimore home. Hilarity in theory ensues. The cast was loaded with future stars. Perry Gilpin, 3 years before she would be cast as Roz Doyle on Frasier, plays Rachel's friend Irene. Guest stars include Leslie Nielsen, Kirstie Alley, still in her Cheers run, and a young Parker Stevenson. Cheers director James Burrows directed multiple episodes. The pedigree was there. The audience was not. 12 episodes were filmed. Only 8 aired. NBC pulled the show after November 15, 1991. 4 episodes were burned off in summer reruns. Number 8. Pacific Station on NBC.
No, not by one of your competitors. By me.
Robert Guillaume in 1991 was one of the most beloved character actors in television. He had won 2 Emmys for playing Benson Du Bois, first on Soap and then on his own spin-off, Benson, which had run from 1979 to 1986. After 5 years away from regular TV series, Guillaume was ready to return. NBC had a show ready for him. Pacific Station premiered on NBC on September 15, 1991. Guillaume played Detective Bob Ballard, a wisecracking veteran LAPD cop reassigned to the Pacific Station Precinct in Venice, California, which the LAPD apparently uses as a dumping ground for eccentric, incompetent, and otherwise unwanted officers. Richard Libertini, the deadpan character actor from Fletch, The In-Laws, and All of Me, played Ballard's partner, Detective Richard Caparelli, freshly returned from treatment for unspecified psychological problems. Megan Gallagher, Ron Liebman, and Joel Murray, Bill Murray's younger brother, rounded out the squad. The theme song was a cover of Fontella Bass's Rescue Me. The creators were Barry Fanaro, Mort Nathan, Kelly Spear, and Terry Grossman, four of the writers behind The Golden Girls. James Burrows directed multiple episodes. The pedigree, once again, was elite. 13 episodes were ordered. The show was put on hiatus in October 1991 after struggling against ABC's America's Funniest People and CBS's Murder, She Wrote. NBC brought it back in December, then canceled it permanently in January 1992. Number 7. Palace Guard on CBS.
I'm afraid we are a seat short, but perhaps we could all squeeze in together, or...
Stephen J. Cannell was the most successful television producer of the 1980s. He had created The A-Team, The Greatest American Hero, 21 Jump Street, Wise Guy, Hardcastle and McCormick, Hunter, Riptide. He produced more shows in the 1980s than most studios. In 1991, Cannell pitched CBS a new drama about a reformed jewel thief who becomes head of security for a luxury hotel chain. CBS bought it. Palace Guard premiered on CBS on October 18, 1991. D.W. Moffett plays Tommy Logan, a master cat burglar and jewel thief just released from 3 years in Attica. He is unexpectedly hired as head of security for the International Palace hotel chain by its eccentric owner, Arturo Taft, played by Tony LaBianco of The French Connection and The Honeymoon Killers. There are two reasons for this strange offer. Logan had previously been the most successful thief at robbing palace hotels, and in a twist Logan does not yet know, Tommy Logan is Taft's illegitimate son. Marcy Walker, fresh off 7 years on Santa Barbara, plays Christy Cooper, the hotel chain's vice president of public relations and Logan's new boss. They tiff. Music by Matt Post, who had also written the themes for The Rockford Files, Hill Street Blues, and Magnum P.I. Critics called it moonlighting with a hotel. CBS aired the pilot and 2 more episodes. After November 1, 1991, the show was gone. 5 completed episodes were never broadcast. Number 6. Man of the People on NBC.
Nice to see you too, Constance.
James Garner in 1991 was 63 years old, had been an A-list movie and television star for 30 years, and had not headlined a regular network TV series since The Rockford Files ended in 1980. The NBC convinced him to come back for one more sitcom. He should have stayed retired. Man of the People premiered on NBC on September 15, 1991. Garner plays Jim Doyle, a small-time con artist and womanizer who, when his ex-wife dies suddenly, is appointed to fill her seat on the city council. The newly elected mayor, Lisbeth Chardon, played by Kate Mulgrew 4 years before she would command Star Trek Voyager, makes the appointment specifically because she believes Doyle will fail and embarrass himself. Instead, Doyle's grifter instincts make him weirdly effective. He charms constituents. He outmaneuvers the political machine. Mayor Chardon is furious. Corinne Bohrer plays Doyle's ethical assistant, Constance Leroy, who disapproves of his methods constantly. John Delancey, Q from Star Trek Next Generation, guest stars. Created by R.J. Stewart, directed by Bill Bixby of The Incredible Hulk and Thomas Schlamme, who would later co-create The West Wing. James Garner's real-life brother Jack Garner plays his sidekick Bernie. 12 episodes were filmed, only 10 aired. NBC canceled the show January 1992. Years later, James Garner himself was asked about the series. His exact words, short-lived and rightly so. Number 5. Princesses on CBS.
I won't stop tapping until I'm a Broadway star!
3 women sharing a Manhattan apartment. One is Tracy Dillon, an English teacher who dumped her fiancé and got herself a Central Park duplex. One is Melissa Kirshner, her loud Jewish-American best friend from the cosmetics counter. One is Princess Georgina Delarue, a recently widowed English aristocrat and former showgirl who was flown to New York to contest her dead husband's will. 3 women, 1 apartment, 3 princesses. That was the pitch. Princesses premiered on CBS on September 27, 1991, Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. The cast was elite. Julie Haggerty, the wide-eyed star of Airplane and Lost in America, got top billing as Tracy. Fran Drescher, 2 years before she would create The Nanny, played Melissa. Twiggy, the British supermodel who had defined 1960s fashion, played Princess Georgie. The theme song was the Roaches covering Someday My Prince Will Come from Snow White. It fell apart on contact with the audience. Critics destroyed it. The show finished 118th out of 132 shows in the Nielsen's. Julie Haggerty walked off set after filming only 4 episodes. CBS aired only 5 of the 8 completed episodes before pulling it October 25, 1991. The kicker. Shortly after, Fran Drescher took a flight to visit Twiggy in England. On that flight, she met CBS programming head Jeff Sagansky and pitched him a new sitcom idea. That sitcom became The Nanny. Number 4. Pros and Cons on ABC.
Makes a bad arrest. Victoria must defend a guilty man.
I fear for my life.
Your client is dirt.
In 1990, ABC premiered a critically acclaimed drama called Gabriel's Fire. James Earl Jones played Gabriel Byrd, a former Chicago police officer who had been wrongly imprisoned for 20 years before being exonerated and becoming a private detective. The show ran 22 episodes. James Earl Jones won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series. The show was canceled at the end of its single season due to low ratings. ABC, refusing to give up their Emmy-winning star, brought back Gabriel Byrd the following season in a retooled lighter version of the show. They added Richard Crenna as a new partner, comedy detective Mitch O'Hannon. They renamed the show Pros and Cons. The title was a double meaning, the professional banter between the 2 leads and the fact that they were professional detectives often chasing convicts. Pros and Cons premiered on ABC on September 26, 1991. Maj Sinclair reprised a role from Gabriel's Fire. Dawn Amici and Maureen O'Sullivan, the original Jane from the Tarzan films, guest starred as Crenna's parents. 12 episodes aired. ABC pulled the plug January 2, 1992. James Earl Jones had won his Emmy and still could not keep the show on air. Number 3. Good and Evil on NBC.
Harlan is a part of my life. I'm sorry if our passion makes you uncomfortable, but...
Susan Harris in 1991 had created Soap, The Golden Girls, Empty Nest, Nurses, and Benson. She had won 3 Emmys. Her production company with husband Paul Younger-Witt and Tony Thomas was the most reliable sitcom factory in Hollywood. ABC asked her to pitch a primetime soap opera parody. She delivered Good and Evil. Good and Evil premiered on ABC on September 25, 1991. Charlotte Sandler Cosmetics is a major corporation in Washington, D.C., run by domineering matriarch Charlotte Sandler, played by Tony-winning Broadway legend Marian Seldes. Her 2 daughters run it with her. Jenny, played by Margaret Whitten, is the good one, a doctor of microbiology. Denise, played by Terry Garr, in the wildest casting of her career, is the evil one, the scheming vice president of marketing. They sabotage each other constantly. A young Seth Green, 4 years before he would play Daniel Oz Osborne on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, plays Jenny's teenage son David. Professional wrestler Terry Funk guest stars as a biker. 11 episodes were produced, only 6 aired. ABC pulled it after October 30, 1991. It was the biggest flop of Susan Harris's career. Number 2. Eerie, Indiana on NBC.
I don't recognize any of these other kids, though.
How could you? This yearbook is from 1964.
In 1990, ABC's Twin Peaks proved that primetime audiences would watch surreal small-town mystery. NBC saw the numbers and wondered what would happen if you did Twin Peaks for kids. Jose Rivera and Carl Schaefer pitched the network exactly that. Joe Dante, the director of Gremlins and The Howling, signed on as a creative consultant. Eerie, Indiana premiered on NBC on September 15, 1991. Saturday nights at 7:30 p.m. 13-year-old Martian Teller, played by Omri Katz from Dallas and the future Hocus Pocus, moves with his family from New Jersey to the tiny town of Eerie, Indiana. Population 16,661. Yes, that is 666 twice. Marshall quickly realizes Eerie is the center of weirdness for the planet. Every week brings a new supernatural mystery. His best friend Simon, played by Justin Schenkero, helps him investigate. Gomez Adams himself, John Astin, has a recurring role as the mysterious World of Stuff store owner, Mr. Radford. A 16-year-old Tobey Maguire guest starred as a ghost. 19 episodes were produced. NBC aired 18 of them through April 1992 and then canceled the show. The Disney Channel picked up syndication rights in October 1993 and turned Eerie, Indiana into a permanent cult classic. Number 1. The Royal Family on CBS.
See, I called you today and you didn't answer. Where were you?
I went to the noon services at the church.
Red Fox in 1991 was a comedy legend. He had defined black television comedy as Fred G. Sanford on Sanford and Son from 1972 to 1977. He had returned to film as Eddie Murphy's father in Harlem Nights in 1989. But by 1991, he was 68 years old, had declared bankruptcy after an IRS raid on his home in 1989, and desperately needed a hit. Eddie Murphy, who had become close friends with Fox on the set of Harlem Nights, watched Fox and Della Reese fight like an old married couple between takes. Murphy pitched CBS a sitcom built around them. CBS bought it. The Royal Family premiered on CBS on September 18, 1991. Fox played Al Royal, a retired Atlanta mail carrier. Della Reese played his wife Victoria. Their daughter Elizabeth and 3 grandchildren move in. The young grandchild Hillary was played by a tiny Naya Rivera, 19 years before Glee. Curtis was played by a 16-year-old Clarence Tate. 2 years before Menace to Society, the premiere drew 20 million viewers. On October 11, 1991, while rehearsing the 8th episode, Red Fox clutched his chest and collapsed. Cast members initially thought he was doing his famous Sanford and Son "I'm Coming Elizabeth" bit. He was not. He had suffered a massive heart attack. He was taken to Queen of Angels Hospital and died that evening. He was 68. CBS attempted to continue the show with Jackie Harry replacing him in the cast, but ratings collapsed. The show was canceled May 1992. And that's a wrap. 10 forgotten 1991 to 1992 TV disasters. From James Garner to James Earl Jones to Twiggy to Red Fox, every legendary star the networks could grab failed to land in this transitional season. Which of these forgotten flops do you actually remember catching back in the day? Did we miss a personal favorite? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this trip back to the strangest year in early 90s television, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you're first in line for more forgotten gems and TV oddities. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.